This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry weekend service. Myself, Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, is as ever joined by John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot. And we've got a decent little show tonight. We've got some cracking questions. And also, we'll be covering the meetings at Haydock. That's the Challenger final races. And Musselburgh's first turf meeting of the year, all on ITV4 tomorrow. Before we get on to that, I'd just like to announce that there'll be the Sunday sermon this Sunday as regular, and it'll be a cracking show. We've got two big debating points, which some of you might have seen already on Twitter and social media platforms, to do with micro-ownership. And the second topic is, of course, the ongoing saga with account checks regarding affordability for basically having a bet. Entain have entered the ring this week, and Ladbrokes and Corals have decided that they're going to introduce affordability checks. So we'll be discussing that in full on Sunday with Ranting, and please get your questions into that show as usual. Right, on to today's questions, on with the show. And we've got 4 questions this week that I think are quite good. The first one is from Carl Swanson, and it was Mick Easterby's 90th birthday this week. Toothless Mick, Ice Cream Mick, turned 90 this week. And John, he's asking, what's your favourite Mick Easterby story from over the years?
Well, I have got one or two. I'll give my absolute favourite, which kind of sums the great man up, I think. Very dear friend of mine died a few years ago, Mel Britton, relayed this one to me, and it was when Mel had horses with Mick and Peter Easterby before he started training for himself. He'd been down to see one of his work and gone in for a cuppa afterwards, and the phone rang, and it's one of Mick's clients, as he calls them, when he's on his Facebook doing his little clown of the county piece. And of course Mel only hears one end of the conversation, and it's, oh yes, he's in great nick. Wonderful, wonderful horse, yes. Oh, superb, he's in fantastic shape. Yes, he will win. No problem at all. Then Mick puts the phone down, turns to Mel. He says, no fucking chance, and started laughing.
Oh, dear. It's a complete put-away job, basically.
Oh, roll it up into a corner and shove it where the sun don't shine. Thank you very much. Send me away as originals.
Do you reckon wily old Mick's tucked up a few owners in the past regarding, certain horses, etc., like buying them and when they're no good and keeping them for a few years and, do you reckon...
I'd trust him just a little bit further than I could chuck King Kong, I think.
I'll tell you one thing about Mick. I'm going a long way back now, so about 2003, I think it was. Weatherby had just built the new stand anyways, and to celebrate it, I think Betfair sponsored entire card, so I got a corporate invite. And cracking buffy they put on Betfair. It was just no expense spared. I don't think it'd be the same today, but it was absolutely unbelievable. Well, anyway, Mick Easterby must have heard about it because he invited himself in. So he schmoozes in and he starts talking to everybody as if like he's one at crowd, and obviously some at Betfair punters didn't know who we were, and I said, "Oh, it's Mick Easterby," and he's, "How are you? You're right," he's saying. And next thing, that was it. As soon as he'd said about 4 words to everybody, he turned round and then filled his plate full of vol au vents and salmon and bit of lobster and all sorts. And then munched through it, sat in a chair, munched through it, and walked out. I mean, as brazen as anything. I mean, you know, just in your company, have a, you know. So he must have got wind that obviously Betfair's spread were better than trainers' meal voucher, you know.
Olympic standard levels of grade, isn't it?
For sure. I mean, that I was sort of gassed because I actually said to kid that were running it who worked for Betfair, and I said, "So is he one of your speakers or something?" To Billy Bunter. No, he just swanned in just for a plate full of buffet. Anyway, so good question, Carl Swanson there. Not John's favourite character. Are we all in the George Boffy? I keep saying Boffy because he's like Frank Boff. No, we don't go there either, do we? He like dressing up to good old Frank.
I'm a big Frank Boff fan.
Yeah, Frank Boff, yeah, grandstand, etc. No, it's George Bowie. I keep saying Boffy. But he says, are we all in the George Bowie fan club, says John Himes on Twitter. John, any views on George Bowie?
Well, I was a big Jim Bowie fan. I like a good knife fighter. So I suppose you'd have to bracket this fella as his second cousin twice removed. Probably a bit useful in a scrap if you need him. No, he's doing all right, isn't he? You know.
Well, I mean, he is. I mean, this season when he first, all I can say, I mean, I've not really. I know like Icy Tentacles on Twitter. You know, as this like running joke with George Bowie, but to be honest, when he first come on scene, I didn't think he was very good. I thought, you know, for horses you're getting, but all of a sudden it looks like he's found the old
he found the magic key,
the old Newmarket syringe,
the Newmarket sausage.
Yeah, so fair play to the lad. He knows what's required and. He's getting on with it.
He's the best thing I can say about him at the minute, and it's probably the best thing I can say about most trainers, really. His name next to a horse doesn't put me off.
No.
You know, unlike the likes of Ed Warfel and people like that, you know, it's a name there. It's all right. It's wallpaper in human form, but it doesn't upset me. So, you know, I can rock along with him if I feel the need.
Yeah, I'm sort of keeping my eye on him. Put it that way. I'm looking more deeper into his runners than I was. So yeah. Next question: of the scores of poorly judged rides that occur each month, Lorne Marvo wants us to put into numbers. How many do we think, in a percentage term, for example, are corruption opposed to incompetence? John.
Well, I'd love to say there's loads more than I think there is in corruption, but I think personally about 95% of the rides are just crass incompetence on the part of the jockeys. I've said it often enough. I think we're in a proper slump as regards the standard of jockeyship in this country.
I concur.
I think there's a lot of problems with jockeys at the minute. I think a lot of it stems from where they're getting their ideas from. You know, I mean, you look at the British Racing School, there's the likes of Perham showing them how to ride, for God's sake.
Dave Cross.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just not on, is it? You know, it's not on. You know, Kim Tink was a jockey coach.
Yeah, it's a bit like. I mean, I kind of liken it to like Lincoln City and Hartlepool players teaching players how to play football. You know, it's not you know. I mean, you think like, again, I don't know. Obviously, they don't want to do it, or salary's not enough. But you think we would get the very best talent around that's retired to maybe do this job, or someone that's close to the best, always renowned for having lovely hands.
You see, I'm a bit left field on this. I don't see why it has to be a jockey either. I mean, there's plenty of good race riders out there that could sit in a room with a jockey and talk them through races and say, well, watch this winner, see what he's done here, or watch this beaten favourite, see where you think he's gone wrong, blah, 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 you know. I mean, there's plenty of jockeys out there that are prepared to listen to you. There's also some idiots that are like, well, how many winners have you ridden type thing, you know? And it's a shame because they could learn so much from talking to a decent race rider, you know, but it's this endemic feeling in the weighing room that it's a closed shop. They can only learn from the payers and all the rest of it, and we all know it's absolute bollocks. But unless mindsets alter, and that's going to come from trainers as well a bit, you know, when they've got the indentures of these lads and they're telling them how to go on, you know. I mean, they'll probably be saying, don't listen to anybody, just listen to me and a couple of senior jockeys, and that. Yeah, you know, it's just cacking it, really.
I mean, this is where racing has had a problem for years, and it's not just jockeys, it's highlighted by trainers, hence the Nicky Henderson ground gate at Sandown with Paul Lydia. And jockeys, for me, are just as bad in that, you know, they'll take the plaudits, they'll take the adulation, but whenever it comes to, you know, an absolute gross piece of misjudgment, or not necessarily even a gross piece of misjudgment, any kind of criticism, and all right, look, I know I've seen Twitter, you know, I've seen the arseholes that'll slag jockeys off because they've lost a few quid and just, you know, and start going berserk at them, and right, yeah, they're just, they're not. But I was a bit annoyed yesterday because I'm not going to name names on the show because I don't think it's fair. But I attacked a ride yesterday, and I've deleted most of the tweets, I think, because I just don't want any sort of like bad publicity from it. But I criticised the ride given it your toxicity yesterday, and the jockey himself. I didn't tag the jockey in it. The jockey came and he came off. He didn't even offer a defence. He just basically attacked me as some kind of moron for even daring to criticise. Not that I've bet professionally for a quarter of a century, and which is longer than he's been alive, and not that I'm an in-running punter and make money from betting in running, etc., and can read races. That meant nothing to him. It was he wanted to only take advice from his peers and his jockey coach, and I was some kind of inconsequence. Now that's where they're going wrong, because the point is, what if you'd have asked and by the way, my tweet was constructive. It wasn't in any way kind of just effing and jeffing. If he'd have just come and just said, right, well, you know, what could I have done better? What do you think? You know. But he didn't. His first level of thing was to say, how many winners have you ridden? And I'm not taking advice off armchairs that have just lost the money having a few quid on. And I just thought, that what world do these people live in? I mean, it is remarkable. And that's not just blowing my own horn and just say, well, but the fact is, I will know more tactically than he will know at this stage of his career, and I've not ridden horses. You know, I'm 20 odd stone, so I can't sit on the back of an horse and, you know, I'd kill it. So, but the point is that these guys need good advice, and none of them want to seek good advice. They want to listen to idiots and you know, jockey coaches, and you know, like you say, tactically they're all, like you said. It comes back to the
sensible ones will listen. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because they know who's who. You know, I mean, Frankie Dettori wouldn't say to Barney Curley when he'd been put off with the drug problem and all that. He wouldn't say, well, I'm not listening to you, Barney. How many winners have you ridden?
Yeah.
He was all over Barney Curley. He was down his house playing snooker most nights. You know?
When I had a big gamble on one years ago, I turned up to Newcastle to watch it, and I went into the paddock, and I'm not even going to name the jockey, but anyway, so I gave him the instructions, and he looked at me, gone out, and he goes, "Well, that's not what I've been told to do." I said, so I politely said, "I don't give a fuck what you've been told.
Yeah.
You know, I pay the bills. I you know, this is what you want to do. And that I think it's just I don't know, like, as I said, it's just
the ones that have been taught right will take your thoughts on board. I mean, Duran always listens, Thick Dave listens, you know. I mean, one of your horses ran at Redcar a few years ago, Sertral.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, as the apprentice jockey at Mel's at the time was John Kavanagh.
Yeah.
And I walked into the paddock. You sent me that the instructions out. Obviously, it was a straight mile at Redcar. She was going to be held up. And he come over to me. He was not leading up. He was on travelling head lad duty that day. And he came over to me. He said, she's making the running. I said, not in this lifetime, she isn't. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, no, you hold up here, son. I said, there's pace on. And he said, well, how many winners have you ridden? I said, well, funnily enough, John, I said, nearly as many as you, and you've had a licence for 5 years.
Yeah, so
quieting down a bit, like.
In answer then to the original question, me and John are both unanimous here that we think that we reckon around 95% of incompetent rides will be, or poorly judged rides will be down to incompetence. And there will be that 5% element where it's okay. You know, I mean, usually I have a saying, if it drifts and the ride matches the drift, then you've kind of got your answer. You know, because obviously money does speak, and if it gets the opposite ride to what you expect, usually, i.e., you've backed a horse thinking, well, this usually sits handy, then the rider, and it drifts badly, and the rider then takes it to the back. I think that's obviously a telltale sign. But apart from that, I just think in general, I don't think jockeys are the most intelligent. Well, you can't be that intelligent wanting to sit on an horse doing 42 mile an hour. You know, I mean, it's a tough sport, real tough sport. So anyway, we move on to our final question, and it's regarding Tiger Roll's chances. What is Tiger Roll's chances, John? Next week, now they're going for the bowl.
Well, I spent most of the afternoon being spread out in a Star of David position in front of the Racing Post Facebook page, and various subscribers to the page have marched up and kicked me squarely in the bollocks for my view that Mr. O'Leary is really, really risking the health and well-being of this horse by running it on the Mildmay course. I genuinely think that this horse is in grave danger running in this race. He's been running cross countries where some of them fences basically you can go through halfway up.
Yeah.
And
me and you could walk through them, couldn't we, really?
Yeah. The national fences, since that one's won his two nationals, have had a plastic car you can flip through. The Mildmay fences are a completely different ball game. I genuinely hope I'm wrong about this, but I'm full of foreboding about it. We lost one man on this course. He took out the first fence down the backside, halfway up, bust his shoulder. If Tiger Roll repeated what he did at the fourth last in the National, the last time he ran the National, he won't be going through it. He'll do a somersault. And I'm seriously concerned about this. I just don't think it ends well. And as I said, I'm worried because I think it'd be terrible for racing if anything happened to him.
Well, as we know, the Mildmay course, like you say, it's a very punishing. They are stiff fences. There's not much giving. And on spring ground, which is obviously possible, that you're trapping at pace and you hit these sort of fences, or you get one wrong stride because you are trapping round there. It can be quite problematic for a horse on the wrong stride. And you're thinking Tiger Roll at his age, running in such a race when, like you've rightly pointed out, he's been contesting his rise to fame is Grand National and the cross country races, which are, I mean, the Grand National these days is not the Grand National that we grew up watching.
No, I mean, Pete was laughing at me saying he's won 2 nationals. What are you talking about? As though it still takes a massive effort to jump round there. I mean, I just contest the fact that it does. I mean, I quite think the strength is on the national cars now. But you could give a foot clearance with me sat on your back.
Well, I mean, anyone has to just literally watch races from the past 80s, 90s, like early 2000s, and just take a look at features and take a look at, it was immense, and that's what captured the public's imagination, was the fact that you could jump round a course such as that, and that was the exhilarating thrill. Obviously, that comes in modern times as times progress. We're now supposedly more responsible people, and
this should have never won 2 nationals on the old fences.
Absolutely not. I agree. I totally agree. And the thing for me is, I think what's happened here is it's like, I mean, I'm not just saying the fact because he's a billionaire, but it's a bit like the toys out of the pram thing.
Oh, it is.
He didn't like the handicap mark. So he's gone all like, he's took his ball and his toys in, and he's just said,
he's
no,
still playing chuff about him, isn't he?
I mean, who, like you said, who would have foreseen that Tiger Roll would be turning up in bowl over national? It's just it's unthinkable. I'm in shock myself. I don't understand the logic of it. Saying that his handicap mark was unfair. I mean, I don't think it was that unfair. The idea is that if you're going to win 3 nationals, you're going to have to deserve to win 3 nationals.
You're going to go up, aren't you, for winning your second one?
Yeah.
I
don't know what weight they actually wanted. I honestly don't. I mean, what did what? All right, you could argue it might be a pound too high.
Then he had the neck to say, well, Red Rum came down in the weights when he won his 3rd national. I mean, for God's sake, Red Rum's one of his prep runs for the national in '77. He was tailed off last of 3 at Newcastle, making over a furlong.
Well, this is it for me. The problem with them is they seem to they don't want to run the horse very often. So if you're not running the horse down the field enough, as in you're not having 7 or 8 starts that season, and you're not
going to come down.
National weights are announced. You're not going to drop a pound. So what can anyone? As if handicappers going to watch that not off running Ireland and go, do you know what? The horse has gone at the game. I'm gonna knock £5 off. I mean, I just think now they're eating humble pie because they've gone for a race like you say, and I totally concur that I'm certainly not a backer, and I hope everything's well with the horse. Right, fantastic questions this week. Me and John enjoyed those, and don't forget to get them in for the sermon on Sunday. Big show planned there. Plenty of ranting from me in any case, and John, because it always does. Yeah. And we go on to tomorrow's cards, which is what we're here for. We're going to
which are pretty awful.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's annoyed me this week because look, you can't have the fanfare of the big turf, and then it's all weather and jumps cards all week. It's just
they need to press on from the Lincoln, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I can remember, like, I don't know if it was last year. My memory's not that great, but Bath definitely had a meeting on Good Friday for a bit, and that's turf. I mean, but like I said, not one turf meeting this week. How disappointing! So
you'd think if they could maybe do something where you have the national, and maybe then the Lincoln, and the Lincoln leads into the Craven meeting the following week, and the Newbury Spring meeting, and I mean that'd be a nice start, wouldn't it?
It'd be wonderful. I mean, I'm all with you on this. I mean, we start getting excited when it's the spring meeting, Craven. That's when it really starts. Nick Davis as well. He'll be listening. Nick Davis loves it. He loves the spring.
Real card at the ready.
Absolutely.
Stanley knife in pocket in case it kicks off.
Right, on to tomorrow. We're going to start with the twig offers, like I said, I'd like us to be a flat program this summer mainly, and I think mainly we will be because there's not really there won't be much jump action to talk about. But this is the Betway Challenger Finals, and we've got 3 on ITV for tomorrow, and we start with the 205 race there. That's the 2 mile hurdle series final. We've got an even money favourite, John, I believe. Can this be right?
Vision Dupuy.
Yeah, no. Hang on, this can't be right. Hang on. Have I got the right? No, have we else got even? That's somebody's had me over there. No. Yeah, it wasn't refreshed.
I thought JP had his money out there.
I'm going to say, yeah. Well, Vision Dupuy is the 9-4 market leader. John, have you any view here?
Yeah, I sincerely doubt I'll be having a bet, but I thought this looked fairly decent last time. Now the brakes have been removed. He started winning, I think, and go on from the previous run. Yeah. I don't see a lot of mileage in the 9-4, but I couldn't stop anybody backing it, really.
What I felt here was a distinct lack of pace. There's literally barely any. Well, there is no confirmed front runner, and I think this could be a bull by the horns race, even though it's poorly handicapped. Chitty Balco is one. It's Donald McCain. You know what he does. Gets to the front and piles on. Gets an easy lead. That could be dangerous, but he would want a lot softer ground than what he's going to get tomorrow. So I'm not advocating a bet.
He could do with a tidy winner as well, couldn't he? Also, he's going to be back where his father was, selling used cars.
Yeah. So, I couldn't be playing because I don't think the horse is a yielding ground kind of horse. I think he's a mudlark. Now, the problem then you've got for Vision Dupuy, if you're fancying Vision Dupuy tomorrow, is that if you watch I keep saying he for Vision Dupuy, if you watch her last race, she was sort of quite, I won't say outpaced, but she was struggling to pick up when the taps were turned on. And obviously the Stratford distance was 2 mile half a furlong. Well, Haydock's 2 mile is the 1 mile 7.5 furlong. So it's a furlong less to travel. And that'd be just a slight worry that you wouldn't want it tactical if you're backing Vision Dupuy. So that's the only sort of outlook I could give on the race rather than come up with a bet, because everything in the race looks rather exposed. That's how I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So nothing there from myself or John there. We're bottling that one. But again, just watch your bets on Vision Dupuy. I'd rather just play the race in running and make my choice from there. The 240 race is the Challenger Staying Series final over 3 miles, 1.5 furlongs. Debici is the 4-1 favourite, John. Dan Skelton. Any view on this?
Again, it's a similar story with all the races at Haydock, to be honest. I ended up plumping for versatility. I thought the first run since the win on a decent surface had a wind up. Probably the one in the field that's maybe still got a bit of progression in it. But again, I'm not champing at the bit to have a bet, in all honesty. I don't think they're a bunch to be betting on.
Well, it's a nice price around the 14-1 mark. Certainly, I'm not going to knock the bet there. Like it's a second off the wind up. For me, I think, I know it's a bit unimaginative, if you like, but Debici, trained by the Red Hot Skelton team, at Sandown last time, this was on the first on the wind up. They could not get enough on this. It was so strong on Betfair. Literally, if you put anything in, it'd get taken literally straight away. And they couldn't get enough on. And the ride it got was kind of typical of Harry Skelton, really. Hurry Skelton was my assessment after the race. He put the pedal to the metal, let's say, on this a long way out,
Around the quarter. That's about his usual point, isn't it?
I mean, it was just literally. Well, I've got the sectionals actually, and it was absolutely lung busting mid race. He made lung busting moves on this, and there's no wonder up the hill. It jumped the pond fence, and it still kept going. In all fairness, but you can. He definitely messed up. He messed it all up. It was brutal. And he had them all in trouble. They were all like literally, I'd say down the back, even like for the final, they were all in trouble. But again, it was just a mess of a judgment of pace. So the fact that they had their absolute, bollocks on at Sandown, and this would, I don't think this is any tougher really in any shape or form. I don't think it's too bad around the 4-1 mark. This horse really can. I think if he just judges it that little bit better, I think Debici can run better. And I think the slightly better ground, might help. It's by Cape Tara. They're not known for heavy ground performers, and some of its wins have been good to soft, good. So it might not want the suit.
That'd be all right on the ground
that it had at Sandown. So I'm quite like Debici. Debici. I think it's very fair. If you're backing it, I think 4-1 is very fair indeed, and that would be a selection from me for the race. Even we don't like tipping fabs if we can avoid it, but if it's value, it's value.
Sometimes it's necessary, isn't it?
Absolutely, value is what it's all about. I think the beach is very fair at 4-1 if you can obtain that sort of price. We move on to the 3:15 race at Haydock. That's the Betway Challenger Stayers Hurdle Series final over the 3.5 mile furlong. Favourite, or just about favourite, is Small Present. Harvey Smith, 6-1. John, any views on this?
Well, it's just the urge to ride past the judges and give them the raise. I'll row in with I Will Do It, which I think's been kept back for a bit decent ground.
Yeah.
Might just have a little bit up his sleeve. Again, singing the same song as the previous 2 races. I'm not strong on it, but I think push for a selection. I'd go in with that.
Interesting selection, really, because the trainers stated that the horse has definitely improved the last run as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, around an 8-1 chance. Sam Thomas trains. Sam Thomas doing quite well. Had a winner at Ludlow the other day. Did it nicely. Dobrin, I think it was. So the Barnes in form. Yeah, I Will Do It. Nice choice.
I'm a bit sickened by Harvey's horse anyway, because I backed it before it won them last 2. And it run like an absolute mule when I backed it.
Well, I mean, I can only say rumours with this because I can't say this is fact, but I heard through the grapevine that it wasn't off on the 7th of October when it was 2-1 favourite, as Harvey didn't want the mark ruining. So it finished second. And if anyone wants to watch that ride, 7th of October 2020, go on your Racing Post databases and have a little look and just tell me what you email me private, do what you want. I just like to know someone else's opinion sometimes, and it was a bit iffy. I'll just say that. And see, when he started winning, the one trait this horse is, and I like this because he's lazy in front, Small Present. He gets to the front, doesn't do a tap, does absolutely nothing. I mean, his last 2 wins should tell you that. He's won ahead, he's won half a length. He gets to the front, ears start flicking. He doesn't do absolutely nothing, which is good because it shows that he's always keeping something for himself. What is bad is that I think he's been very unfortunate that there's been a big gap to the third last time, and the handicap has put him up £6 for winning half a length, which to some people would say, well, that's quite stiff. It's a bit unfair. The time before, it beat Big Penny, went up £6.
Yeah.
It's won ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So you've won ahead and half a length, and you've gone up a total of £12.
Yeah.
That's quite stiff when you think about it. And so that'd be the one drawback for me. But as I said, if you're backing Small Present, he's a bit of an in-running dream. So if you see him travelling well, turning in, and he hits the front, and then he looks in a bit of trouble, I can probably tell you that he's idling and messing around. So don't worry too much and have more on. Especially when price drifts. If you see the price drifting sort of 3 hours, something else is going well, and he's being pushed along. Don't worry, he doesn't do a tap in front. So
it's nothing to do with the fact that somebody's got pictures that's 4 seconds in front of you. Just keep piling in.
Just keep piling in because as I said, this is how you get these. This is how you get these lads on track. They have the drones, they have the quick picks, but they haven't a foggiest about horses. They haven't time to do that. They've got to be, they've got normal lives to lead. They don't do the work. So
got to oil the drones on a night, haven't they?
Absolutely. So just small. Again, this is the in-running skills that I can bring sometimes as a small present. It'd be interesting turning in anyway if he's still there and looking good because you will get some prices because he won't do it easy. You won't be winning 6 lengths, 7 lengths and drawing clear. Even if he's on the bridle, he will make it look tough. So you can use that to your advantage. Right. So we've finished with the twig hoppers because we're really busting for more flat action at the moment, me and John. So we moved to Musselburgh for their first turf meeting of the year, given us going as good to soft. We'll probably know if it's good to firm or if it's soft after race 1. That's the problem with these going reports this time of year. Not always the most accurate. I always find early season. 150 race is where we go. It's the Betway Silver Arrow handicap over 7 furlongs. Stone Soldier is heading the market for Archie Watson at 11-4, John.
It's absolutely horrible, this, isn't it? 7 furlongs round there, you need a brave man. And who braver than the recently back from a life-threatening accident and Mr. Hannigan, the Mannigan. Gallipoli, probably at the top of his mark, but thigh's a bit thick. I mean, he'll have it fit for this. He won't have a plan in his head. There's no track worries. He's a handy little sort, this. Hannigan will give it the right kind of ride. It'll be thereabouts, I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, as we know in Musselburgh, anyone that's betted in the 7 furlong races there, that you usually need to be handy. In fact, you probably definitely need to be handy. That said, I think it was towards the back end of last season, there was an edge at Musselburgh for coming wide. Now, I don't know if that's to do with the watering. I don't know if that's to do with, but anything that was challenging the widest, sort of late season on the flat there.
I think it's a configuration of the straight line because it goes in and then comes back out.
That's actually correct. Yeah.
I think if you actually apex off the bend, straight line to the winning post,
it's shorter. If you wide,
and you're actually coming wide, it throws you wide at the finish. So but you're just not sticking to the configuration of the track.
Yeah, that's a really good point, John. Really good point. Like you said, there's that little bend sort of
straight. It's a kink.
Well, I say a little. It's quite a kink. It kinks, like you said, to the left. So
if you draw on high on the in the sprint track, you can hug the rail, and obviously you're getting the benefit of that kink.
Absolutely, yeah. Even if it's only worth like a length in handicap races, that's plenty.
It's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. Now so your selection is Gallipoli of Thick Faye. Paul Hannigan, the Mannigan in the saddle, 8-1.
The old team back.
Yeah. I'm talking from a sort of price angle, really. Very heavily bet here is Stone Soldier at 11-4. Has been bigger yesterday and sort of this afternoon. Currently, like I say, 11-4 with Bet365 I'm looking at. Now, that to me is a ridiculous price. I mean, the first thing I'd like to say is that this horse is 5 wins from 8 on the all-weather, including, Southall, which it proves it likes. And it's just 1 from 11 on the turf. And in fact, when you look back through its entire turf form, and I'm doing so right now, is that the best run it's ever done was winning off 80 at Chester over the 6, making all. It's off 91 today. And its last run on turf was 26th of October last year, albeit soft ground, and it was well beat off 82. Now because it's been winning on the all weather, it's now off 91. I just, I mean, I don't see why you'd be clear market leader, even though the race is full of probably exposed types. I'd be. I think I'm taking this on, John.
We're going to place this till the pip squeak, are we?
Well,
you just about convinced me, Lee. I think.
Another thing, trap 10, which is that's good, right. Thrasher Morris, so it's it'll be, you're going to get 48 smacks, but no balance and no poise inside final furlong. I just 11-4. It's not really for me, that. So I'm going to be against the Archie horse, because I think that's just Billy Bunter's saying, well, it's been winning well all weather, and not considering that now we've changed.
You've convinced me, Lee. I'm hitting pink. So with that.
We're going to have to hit pink.
Yeah.
So we move on to the 225. It's the Betway Royal Mile handicap. Over a mile this time. 7 goes first. 11-4 favourite. The Screaming Kilt with Forest Falcon, John.
Well, I think this is possibly justified. I think the situation is, I mean, as with Beverley, the Screaming Kilt gets an awful lot of winners gifted to him around this track and Beverley and anywhere else where there's a massive front end bias.
Yeah.
And again, this one, I think this can just get out in front, drop the anchor, and game over, basically.
It's, I mean, just looking at it, it's by Ravens Pass out of a Shamadal mare, and obviously that's a big no-no with cutting the ground. That's all I'd deduce from that. Ravens Pass, Shamadal, both sides of the pedigree, scream all weather, fast ground. So my only issue with that would be what the actual state of the ground is. It's all right what they say. It's nice ground, good ground. I'd have to. I don't want first race to be run 6 seconds slow.
No.
It's one of them. Then you think, fuck. I've gone in. I agree with you. I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think this is a nice type, and it could well be sort of above the level of this. And 83 seems very fair on the last.
I said it's a nice type of this type of race, isn't it? I mean, more or less guarantee you sell 11 shell by Ascot.
Yeah. So me and John sort of like, but only other one that I'll put up to it is a Tornadic of Eve Johnson Houghton's, because obviously she gets her horses really primed first time out, and I think Tornadic is interesting. Got a great draw just on the insider of Mark Johnson's, but you probably bet your life that Franny Norton will be bumming this for the lead. And like you say, it's a tricky, but I'd need to see what the ground is before I'd make an assessment. I mean, these previews are fantastic, us trying to tell you winners, but if you don't know what the ground is actually going to ride like, then it's really difficult when you've got a Ravens Pass, Shamadal, which are predominantly all weather fast ground runners.
It's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, but we've sort of steered you there where we're going anyway on that one, so bear that in mind. Next race is the 3 o'clock. It's the Scottish Sprint Cup over 5 furlongs. Eric Alston, obviously a renowned sprint trainer, as his sprinters in great. I like Eric Alston. I think he's one of them smaller trainers I always cheer on against the bigger ones whenever he's got some rated. He's one of them that you just want to do well, because he doesn't have the big Arab owners, etc., etc. And he's got the favourite here in Jabberwocky at 11-2, John.
Yeah, clearly a chance. I ended up plumping for Zarzini. I think it's going to have enough pace for this. I think it snagged a fairly decent box as well.
Yeah.
And I thought the pipe opener that it had recently was quite promising, really. I think, again, I'm not climbing over myself to have a bet, but I don't think this can put a fairly decent show up here.
It definitely ran well at Wolves. I mean, look at the form. You've got Streamliner Clive Coxes, and I listened to Adam Kirby today after he won on Summergand in the big Lingfield Sprint today, and he said he reckoned that the one that beat it at Wolverhampton is going to end up quite useful. So that's quite a bigging up of the form, if you like, from Adam Kirby, because he's saying, "No, don't worry about that second at Wolves. He ran well there, and he's ran well to one that he thinks he's going to progress." So I just felt that were interesting comments from on at the races today. So that's backing up your case with Zarzini, which, like you say, has run a fantastic race, finishing third there.
Yeah, it was a good start.
Yeah. And also, what I like as well with these type of conditions races now, they don't just put the marks up, and leaving it on 90 leaves it very well in.
Yeah.
Other thing as well is to boost your selection is that David Barron this year, I think, started off a little bit better than what he did sort of like last year. I was a bit concerned for him last year, but at least he had gunmetal banging at Doncaster on the opening flat weekend. So that goes in your favour as well. That at least the yards banged in a recent winner, because, like I said, David Barron last year, I were backing his horses springtime last year.
I absolutely bought gunmetal last year, and then I backed the second the other day when it won.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm going to side with you on this, Zarzini. I think it's interesting, but again, just a word of warning. By Siuni out of an Invincible Spirit mare, again points to fast ground.
Yeah.
And again, there's no form on soft ground. So again, it's one of them. It's all right sometimes having bet sort of night before or morning, but sometimes you just need to see that what that ground is actually like, because everyone gets put away by Clerk of the Courses. I mean, the number of times we're going to be moaning halfway, this season on Twitter, and about
you just don't want to see Clemish flying, do you, in the first?
So, but John, I agree with you there. I think that off 90 could be an absolute snip. So Zarzini for me and John, but we would like sort of the good side of good, the good to soft side of good, rather than the soft side of good to soft. If we're going to get our tin helmets on and pile in. 3:35, the final TV race that we're going to be looking at is the Betway Queen's Cup, a very valuable race, £75,000 guaranteed, and 13 runners go to purse. 9-2 favourite, John, is Nate the Great.
Yeah, it's a horse I was quite interested in last year. I thought overall it had a fairly disappointing profile, however. It left me feeling a bit underwhelmed last year. I did think it was a horse that could have made great strides. Didn't. And for the selection, I've ended up going with a horse that I've always sort of kept a bit of an eye on, because he has done me favours in the past in strongly run racing. I think he'll get the race run to suit it. That's Indianapolis. Now, it's just changed stables, and it's come out the James Gibbon Death Camp. And it's gone to Ian Williams, who I think handles these stain types rather well. It can go well fresh, and I think a bit of pace on it will really suit this. Now, where Williams and Gibbon probably differ, Williams would probably have a plan for this. He paid 52 G's for it, I think. And he'll have something in mind. It could be an Eber situation or something like that. But given that I'm assuming everything's okay and the horse is fit, and the market will probably tell us if it holds its own in the market, that'll do. If there's a big drift, be very careful. This is a horse I can see improving quite a bit for the change of yard.
Yeah.
And hopefully it might be tomorrow,
I think that the yard didn't have it right last season, because when it made its debut for Balding, when it was third to the Trader at Newmarket, it looked flat all year.
Yeah.
Running off early 90s, and like you said, last time out, last two runs really, it's shown signs. Third to Mildenberger, and then obviously beating Who Dares Wins. Can't knock it. White's market leader. One I thought at a price might be all right. is All Right Sunshine, trained by Kenny Dalglish. Kenny had a winner recently, which again I always like because Kenny's been in pretty poor form really for a while now. And Prince Cafe was well bet and won a handicap hurdle at Newcastle the other day. So I'm thinking All Right Sunshine is not bad off 99 at 12-1 because don't forget this horse was really, really progressive back in 2019. And then last year, he's just basically found himself off marks in top quality races that he can't sort of win off. 105 against Fajera Prince in the Ascot Handicap, and then what goes for the Ebor, then behind Fajera Prince. Then he's in the Cesarevich off 101. I mean, now you're coming down to a Musselburgh Cup off 99. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking this could be where this all sort of gets his mojo back a little bit. And, so I thought 12-1 was quite fair without being strong. I just kind of like the price.
For sure.
And, I know for a fact that Straight Line Bloodstock will be wanting a win out of this. So, yeah, so Nate the Great for John, and probably rightfully so.
Indianapolis.
Oh, sorry, Indianapolis for John. That's the Ian Williams runner at 9-1. Obviously, I mean, God, have I been asleep? James Given to Ian Williams, of course. Yeah, Jesus. I mean, I've been about Nate the Great. Has been 92
because I did have that preamble about Nate the Great being a little bit underwhelming last year.
Right, and I've been Anyway, so basically, you are Indianapolis at 9-1 on the trainer switch from James Given to Ian Williams, which
certainly want to keep an eye on this year, if not tomorrow.
I tell you what, it's a massive switch, isn't it?
It's a good switch, that
It's an enormous switch. I mean,
given to anybody that'll fade him is probably good.
I mean, Given was 8% as a trainer, so I mean, Desperate. This is and Barrett. Hang on. Didn't you have this? You backed it in a big race. You backed this before, haven't you? Several big races.
Yeah.
And
managed to get paid a couple of times as well.
Yeah. Did you back it at Ascot last year when it was 5th to Scarlet Dragon?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think he got a really bad ride that day.
I think I backed that thing that went to Simcox from Michaels. That ran at the Dante as a 3-year-old. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
That got stinker as well.
Yeah. Right. So Indianapolis for John. All Right Sunshine for me to finish off in the big staying race there, the Queen's Cup at Musselburgh tomorrow. Don't forget to tune in with us on Sunday because, as I said, quite a big ranty show. Definitely two topics which kind of really sort of get to me a little bit.
Ranty Sunday.
Ranty Sunday, we're going to call it. Micro ownership and account checks for affordability, which appear to be gathering pace, which could spell big trouble for the industry. And I've got a little bit of a mole in the BHA that's sent me a line or two as well. So you might want to listen to that. It'll be a great show. That's all from me and John this evening. Be safe with your bets tomorrow. I wouldn't go mad. And we'll see you hopefully on Sunday for a cracking Sunday sermon. Bye for now.